What is up, bros? It's your boy Chad Thundercock back with another video. Today we're diving deep into the mysterious female psyche to uncover the subtle signs that a girl might be intimidated by your sheer awesomeness. Let's be real. Sometimes you walk into a room and you can just feel the energy shift. Heads turn, jaws drop, and suddenly you lock eyes with hers. But she quickly looks away. So if you're tired of second-guessing and want to know if a girl is secretly intimidated by your alpha energy, then keep watching because I'm about to break down the top 10 signs. First up, we've got a classic sign of intimidation: avoiding eye contact. You know the drill, bros. You're locked in a conversation, laying down some serious knowledge, and suddenly, you notice her eyes darting around the room like a squirrel on a caffeine high. She's looking everywhere but at you. Why? Because your intense gaze is just too much for her to handle. It's like staring directly into the sun, except instead of burning her retinas, you're melting her heart. Or maybe just making her a little uncomfortable. Either way, it's a surefire sign that you're dealing with an intimidated woman. She's captivated by your presence but too shy to meet your gaze head-on. Now, I'm not saying that every time a girl avoids eye contact, she's intimidated. Maybe she's just got something in her eye. Or maybe she's trying to remember what she had for breakfast. But if you're noticing a pattern of averted gazes, chances are, your suspicions are correct. This is especially true if she's usually pretty confident and outgoing. So, next time you're chatting up a girl and she can't seem to maintain eye contact, don't sweat it. Just chalk it up to your irresistible charm and move on. Alright, moving on to sign number 2, she's overly polite. Now, I'm all for good manners, but when a girl starts acting like you're royalty, it might be a sign that she's a little intimidated. Think about it. She's probably thinking, don't screw this up, with every word she utters. She's so worried about making a good impression that she ends up sounding like a robot programmed for politeness. You know what I'm talking about? Excessive pleases and thank yous, even for the smallest things. Agreeing with everything you say, even if it's completely ridiculous. Basically, she's bending over backwards to avoid any potential awkwardness or offense. And you know what? It's kind of endearing. It means she sees you as someone worth impressing, someone who commands a certain level of respect. But it can also be a little much. So if you find yourself on the receiving end of this kind of over-the-top politeness, try to put her at ease. Crack a joke, tease her a little, let her know that you're not some kind of unapproachable deity, just a regular dude, albeit a ridiculously good-looking and charming one. Alright, let's talk about fidgeting. We all do it, right? It's a natural human response to stress, anxiety, or you guessed it, intimidation. So, if you're noticing that a girl can't seem to sit still around you, it might be because your presence is making her a little jittery. Maybe she's constantly playing with her hair, twirling a strand around her finger like she's auditioning for a shampoo commercial. Or maybe she's tapping her foot, creating a steady beat that rivals any drummer in a rock band. Whatever the fidget, it's a clear sign that she's not exactly relaxed. And then there are the other nervous tics, biting her lip, fiddling with her jewelry, adjusting her clothes every 5 seconds. It's like her body is trying to find a way to release all that nervous energy, but it just can't quite figure out how. Now, I'm not saying that you should be analyzing every little movement a girl makes, that's just creepy. But if you're noticing a pattern of nervous behavior, it's worth paying attention to, especially if it only seems to happen when she's around you. Chapter 4. Laughs at everything you say. Okay, this next sign is a bit of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's always nice to be around someone who finds you funny. On the other hand, if a girl is laughing at every single thing you say, even your worst dad jokes, it might be a sign that she's trying a little too hard to impress you. Think about it, would she laugh that hysterically if you were just some random dude she met on the street? Probably not. But because she's intimidated by you, she feels the need to overcompensate and make sure you know that she thinks you're hilarious. It's like she's trying to win your approval through laughter, hoping that if she laughs hard enough, you'll somehow overlook the fact that she's secretly terrified of your awesomeness. Now, I'm not saying that you should start intentionally telling bad jokes just to test her out. That's just mean. But if you notice that she's laughing a little too hard at your jokes, especially the ones you know aren't that funny, it might be a sign that she's trying to mask her intimidation with a healthy dose of fake laughter. Chapter 5. Mirrors your actions. Alright, let's talk about mirroring. No, I'm not talking about staring at your reflection and flexing. I'm talking about a subtle form of body language that can reveal a lot about how someone feels about you. You see, when we're attracted to someone or even just intimidated by them, we tend to subconsciously mirror their actions. It's our way of building rapport and showing that we're on the same wavelength. So, if you're talking to a girl and you notice that she's subtly copying your movements, it could be a sign that she's feeling a little intimidated. For example, if you take a sip of your drink and she does the same a few seconds later, that's mirroring. Or if you cross your legs and she follows suit, that's another sign. Now, mirroring can be a sign of attraction, but it can also be a sign of nervousness or intimidation. So, how can you tell the difference? Well, it's all about context. Chapter 6. Stumbles over her words. Alright, let's talk about another classic sign of intimidation, stumbling over her words. You know how it is, bros. You're talking to a girl, the conversation is flowing, and suddenly, she turns into a bumbling mess of stammering and stuttering. It's like her brain has short-circuited, and her mouth can't keep up with her thoughts. She's trying to form coherent sentences, but the words just won't come out right. And the more flustered she gets, the worse it becomes. Why is this happening? Well, it's simple. She's so intimidated by your presence that she's second-guessing everything she says. She's worried about saying the wrong thing, about sounding stupid, about ruining her chances with you. And you know what? It's kind of adorable. It means she sees you as someone worth impressing, someone who makes her a little nervous. But it can also be a little frustrating, especially if you're trying to have a conversation. Chapter 7. Keeps her distance. Last but not least, let's talk about personal space. You know that invisible bubble we all carry around us? Well, when a girl is intimidated, that bubble tends to expand. It's like she's trying to create a safe zone, a buffer between her and the source of her intimidation, you. So, if you find that she's always keeping a noticeable distance, even in crowded spaces, it might be a sign that she's not quite comfortable getting too close. Maybe she avoids sitting next to you, or maybe she takes a step back whenever you lean in to talk. It's like she's got an invisible force field around her and you're not allowed past it. Now, this doesn't mean she dislikes you. In fact, it could be the opposite. Sometimes, when we're attracted to someone, we instinctively create some distance to avoid seeming too eager. But, if she's consistently keeping her distance, coupled with some of the other signs we've discussed, it's a pretty good indicator that she's intimidated. Outro. So, there you have it, brodas. The top 10 signs that a girl might be intimidated by your presence. Remember, these signs aren't foolproof and every girl is different. What might be a sign of intimidation in one girl could just be her normal behavior in another. The key is to pay attention to the context and look for patterns. If you're noticing several of these signs and they seem to be specific to her interactions with you, then there's a good chance that your suspicions are correct. But, hey, even if a girl is intimidated by you, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means you're a force to be reckoned with, a man who commands respect and admiration. Just remember to be yourself, be confident, and treat her with respect.